Sometimes the scariest things in the woods aren't the ones hunting you directly. They're the ones preparing for you. This is the story of a camping trip that went horribly wrong, where the forest itself was being stripped bare by something with teeth, testing them for flesh. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more scary stories. I want to share something that happened to me last summer, something I've never told anyone outside my closest friends. It was late July, the dead center of camping season. My buddies and I had planned a trip into the state forest, a place we'd been dozens of times before. It wasn't some unknown stretch of wilderness. There were marked trails, fire pits, and campsites. It was safe, or at least it was supposed to be. There were 4 of us. Me, my friend Mark, his girlfriend Jenna, and my younger cousin Ryan. We hiked in during the day, set up our tents near a clearing, and by nightfall, we had a fire going, drinks in hand, and stories flowing. Everything was fine until just after midnight. The first sound was sharp and sudden, like the crack of a tree branch. Not twigs snapping underfoot, not the wind breaking off dead limbs. This was loud, deliberate, echoing through the trees. We froze. Probably just a tree falling, Jenna said, though her voice was shaky. But then it happened again. Louder. Closer, a snap like a massive log being split in half. Ryan whispered, "That wasn't the wind." We sat there listening, firelight flickering over our faces, until the sound stopped. Eventually, we convinced ourselves it was nothing, just nature. The forest can play tricks on you. But when morning came, we found out it wasn't a trick. A whole patch of woods near our campsite had been destroyed. I'm not exaggerating when I say it looked like a tornado touched down in just one spot. Branches were stripped clean, bark torn away, trunks gnawed on like corn cobs. The weirdest part? The marks weren't from an axe or a saw. They were from teeth. Long rows of jagged indentations scarred the trees, and some of the stumps still glistened, as if spit was drying on them. Mark muttered, "What the hell could do this?" I remember joking. "Guess the beavers here bulked up." But none of us laughed. That night we should have left. Looking back, I think the forest was giving us a warning, but we stayed. When darkness fell again, the sound started earlier. First a faint crunching, like someone chewing celery. Then the cracks returned, snapping wood, groaning bark. Whatever was out there, it wasn't just feeding, it was testing its bite. I didn't sleep. I lay in my tent with Ryan, flashlight clutched in my hand, staring at the thin layer of fabric between us and whatever it was. Around 3 a.m., something brushed against our tent wall. Just the faintest drag, like fingers tracing the nylon. I held my breath. Ryan whispered, "You heard that too, right?" I nodded, but neither of us moved. When morning came, more destruction awaited. Another section of forest had been chewed bare, closer to camp this time. Whole branches were scattered across the ground, spit shining in the sunlight. And then Jenna pointed at something we hadn't noticed the first day. A set of footprints. But they weren't normal footprints. They were huge, at least twice the size of my boot, and wrong. The toes looked human, 5 of them, but they were too long, curling slightly like claws. And instead of a heel, the prints sank deep into the dirt as if something heavy dragged behind each step. Jenna refused to stay another night. She wanted to pack up immediately, but Mark insisted we wait until evening so we wouldn't get lost hiking back. Stupid. That was the word that kept ringing in my head. Stupid. Because when the sun dipped below the trees, the sounds didn't just come back. They surrounded us. Cracks, snaps, crunches from every direction. Ryan whispered, "They're circling us." That's when we saw it, or at least part of it. From the tree line, something moved, a shape between the branches, crouched low, teeth flashing in the firelight. Its face. God, I'll never forget its face. Pale skin stretched too tight, a mouth that opened wider than it should, and rows of teeth grinding against one another, splintering wood it held in its jaws. It wasn't eating the tree. It was breaking it down like a toy, just to show us it could. We bolted. We didn't bother with the tents or gear. We ran through the forest with nothing but our phones and flashlights. Behind us, I swear I could hear heavy footsteps, the crash of wood, and the wet crunch of teeth biting down again and again. The woods didn't look the same anymore. The trail we knew was gone, replaced with stretches of chewed-up trees, claw marks in the dirt, and piles of shredded bark. It was like the forest itself was being consumed. Ryan tripped, and I almost left him behind. That's the truth. Terror makes you selfish. But I grabbed his arm and dragged him up, and we kept running until we saw the faint glow of a ranger's cabin. We pounded on the door until someone opened it. A ranger, middle-aged, looked us over with a grim expression. "You camped near the east clearing, didn't you?" he asked. We nodded, gasping for breath. He sighed and shook his head. "Should have listened to the locals. That part of the woods isn't for people anymore." When we asked what he meant, he refused to explain. He just let us sleep on the floor of the cabin until morning. When daylight came, he walked us back to the trailhead without a word. We never saw the things again. But the image of those pale faces, those rows of teeth grinding wood to pulp, will never leave me. And I can't stop thinking about one thing the ranger said as we left. He muttered it under his breath, like he didn't mean for us to hear. "They're not after the trees. They're practicing